Hi, everybody. This is a story from Anonymous. Hi, Ollie. First of all, thank you for your YouTube channel. I love watching it as it makes me stronger in keeping my no contact with my ex-narc. Please understand, I know this story is quite long, but I felt it very important to share in case others are going through something similar. I do understand that my story may be a little different. I will be hearing backlash from it. I'm okay with that. My story. I understand that I may be burned at the stake for this letter by other viewers, should you air it. But I have fully come to terms with my choices and the consequences I now suffer. I'll try to keep this as short as possible. I'm a 35-year-old married female with 3 beautiful children under the age of 9. I have a storybook life on the outside. My husband is a wonderful man who treats me like a queen and works very hard for our family. I have an amazing career, a nice home, a comfortable income, but my inner turmoil is nowhere near as glamorous. To begin, I was raised in a wonderful conservative religious home with 2 amazing parents. However, both my parents had severe alcoholic parents, and the general rule of thumb in the home was to turn the other cheek and to try my best to help others who were struggling. I wouldn't understand the sinister side of that until much later. Please understand I do not mean to bash my Christianity, as I am devout, although the story I'm about to write may surprise viewers entirely. Let me begin by saying at the age of 14 I met my first love, a horribly narcissistic boy who was 17. He was the boy every guy wanted to be and the girl everyone wanted to date. I was not a popular girl, very shy, didn't have many friends. For some reason, this handsome, popular, charismatic boy asked me to date. Of course, I said yes. At the time, I didn't understand what being an empath was, which is exactly what I am, and how narcissists are often attracted to my kind. He love bombed me from the get-go, but within the next year and a half, I was so abused by him that I was no longer allowed to wear my contacts or glasses for the reason of not being able to see other boys. I was no longer permitted to wear makeup or have friends whatsoever. He would constantly tell me how ugly I was and that if I ever left him, no one would want me. He was the only one who ever loved me, and I should respect him for that. At the age of 16, this boy discarded me after getting another older female pregnant. He broke up with me on a Thursday and married her that Saturday. This is only where my story begins. After this discard, I was suicidal and completely broken. I had no idea what narcissist or sociopaths were, and at such a younger age, at such a younger age, as well as as this being my first love, my idea of what love is, of of what love is, was completely distorted and destroyed. I cannot say actually I didn't heal from this damage. I didn't date much even years after this. At 20 years old, after beginning college, I blossomed into a truly physically attractive woman. I had numerous men asking me out on dates, and finally, for once, felt as though I may be attractive to someone after all. That summer, I met the most wonderful friend, a male. I knew right away he was more interested in me than I was him, but I loved the attention. He was secure, had a nice career, and treated me unlike any other. And it wasn't a facade. We began dating, and even though I never had what I considered romantic love feelings for him, I respected and knew he loved me. I wasn't about to let him go. After 2 years of dating, we were married. I have now been married to this man for nearly 14 years, and as I mentioned before, we have 3 beautiful, healthy children. This is where my story gets dark. Over a year ago, a man I'd known since high school contacted via social media site. This man was on top of his game back in high school, a jock, popular, and oh so handsome. I honestly never thought he'd even remember me since we were on 2 different social spectrums during our teen days, but he did. He went on over the next few weeks sending me flirtatious texts and even completely wooing me. Everything I found so monotonous and boring in my marriage, he appeared to have, he appeared to be excited and full of life. He is divorced with a daughter the same age as mine. He would constantly dote on me, telling me how he wished his ex was as attent of his eye. Everything he wanted, everything he wanted in a wife and a mother, I was it. This stage went on for weeks. He kept asking me to lunch just to catch up, but being married, of course, I said that was not a good idea. Over those over those few weeks, however, the temptation got stronger and stronger. This man just seemed to be everything I'd been missing in my life. I kept asking myself, why is he single? All too soon I would find out. Eventually, as in most cases, a physical affair partnered with an emotional one. This is when his mask fell off. After the first sexual encounter, I did not hear from him for 4 days. I was utterly convinced. I was utterly confused since he texted or called me nearly every half hour for weeks, even at 2 or 3 a.m. During that 4 days, my mind was spinning, first because of my enormous guilt, but secondly because I realized I was just a booty call. I was devastated. On the 5th day, he texted me as though nothing had happened. He was back to his old loving self. I asked where he'd been, and he told me to grow up, that we weren't in high school anymore, and people in their 30s have casual sex all the time. This shocked me. I did not have casual sex whatsoever. It also hurt because it was the first time I realized that I meant very little to him. The guilt was killing me, but at the same time, I couldn't let go. I couldn't let this man go. It was physical. Our chemistry was amazing, but also because I was still expecting this wonderful man I'd grown to care about to come back. As the weeks went by, I kept seeing posts on social media that hinted at the fact that he was dating several different women, some who were 19 or 20 years old. You don't see what happened here? You got caught right back up in high school. You got caught up in being that same gawky, jealous high school type, female type. You are one of these people that thinks the grass is always greener, and the grass is never greener with the narcissist. I would see random females post photos of them with his daughter, even after he'd sworn to me that I was the only one who'd met her. He'd come across as such a doting father, but after being around him and his daughter, who is 5, he would call her fat ass and curse at her severely. She seemed as though this was normal behavior. I couldn't imagine speaking to my child that way. Also, I learned that he'd married for the first time at the age of 29 to a girl who was 20, but very quickly had an affair and gotten another female pregnant. He left his wife after only 1 year and filed for divorce immediately, moving to the new pregnant girlfriend into his home. That relationship only lasted 2 years. According to that girlfriend, he was so abusive and cheated so many times that he had to secretly move out of his home while he was away on business because she was so scared of him. The more I learned, the worse the stories got. At 36 years old, his longest relationship had been 2 years. I also learned that my suspicions were correct, that he had been having sexual encounters with numerous young women. All the while, I thought we were monogamously involved with one another. Well, he knew you were married, so why do you think, listen, guys go after married women because they're in that trap. That's why they go after married women. The abuse got more and more severe. He would have emotional outbursts, and I couldn't leave work to meet for him for quick sex. He'd call me a whore and tell me that my God would never forgive me. He'd say if I didn't show up, he'd have sex with someone else, that he could get a new female he wanted. He'd also go days or weeks without speaking to me. He'd finally call and leave such horrible, demanding voicemails on my cell and work phone that I can't even share them here. He would constantly compare me to younger females and would constantly catch him, and I would constantly catch him in lies. Some big lies, but mostly small, stupid things. Sometime into the affair, I had also found out he completely lied about the career. In the love bombing phase, he bragged about his college degrees and his credentials and solid career. I later found out he did not work at all except for a minimal part-time job 2 days a week. He later told me while laughing he wasn't getting a job because his ex-girlfriend had to pay him child support because she made decent money. He laughed at how he'd gotten the courts on his side and won 50-50 custody, although nearly every time we were together, he had sent his daughter to his parents' house or a neighbor's house and never kept her. He didn't care about his daughter. After the affair began, although not confessing fully to my husband, I told him I wanted to separate. I was so stupid to actually think I was going to run into the sunset with this new man and our 4 children. I confessed to my parents only of the affair. My strict religious upbringing had me feeling confession was a must, at least to someone I trusted. My parents were devastated but supportive. They begged me to work out my marriage and get this man out of my life. I had a wonderful husband who'd done nothing wrong to me ever, and they were right. But at that point, even the truths that I came to understand, all the horrible nights spent crying myself to sleep, I loved this new man. Again, no, you didn't love him, you loved the idea of him, and I'm going to tell you why. Again, I know many of your viewers will call me a whore and say that I deserve what I got, and I accept that. Trust me, no one could be as hard on me as I have myself. But I'm writing this because I cannot understand how or why I still love this man. Do I love him? I feel like I do. Let me say that an entire year of trying no contact 13 times, yes, 13 times, I officially been no contact for a while now. He cannot call or text me. I blocked him from all social media as well, but I miss him every single day. How could a person miss someone who called her a cunt a gazillion times? How can a person long to see or talk to a man who called her an attention whore? This man is also an atheist and continually made fun of my God, who he referred to as my imaginary friends. How could I miss a man who would act as though he couldn't breathe without me and then not speak to me or contact me for 2 weeks at a time? What is wrong inside of me that I cannot see or appreciate an amazing man who truly loves me at home yet feels completely engulfed with this ass? How do I stop missing this horrible man? How do I stop daydreaming about who he's been sleeping with and he may have a successful relationship with? He's not going to have a successful relationship with anybody. He's an asshole. He doesn't want a successful relationship. I used to be a strong, independent woman who would never allow another person to abuse me the way my old boyfriend has so many years ago. In fact, I began counseling young teen girls about the same abuse. Now, here I am, broken once again, barely recognizable. I've lost so much weight, and I was only 112 pounds before. My hair is thin and dull. I cannot eat or sleep. I have no energy, and even my coworkers have noticed a drastic change in me. It's as though my entire being was taken by this narcissist. Sometimes I feel I'm only getting what I deserve, and I believe that for so long now. But then the forgiving human that I am towards others says no one, not even someone like me, deserves to be abused. What has happened to me, and why am I stuck here? Any words of advice are much appreciated. Anonymous. Thank you kindly. Much like the narcissist female gets trapped at the high school lunch table, your abuse by a first narcissistic boyfriend in high school has kept you in a state of constantly staring at that lunch table and wanting to be a part of it. You're trapped in high school. This is a high school crush. This big man on campus bullshit. Listen, the big man on campus, look at his life. This is what happens to the big man on campus. He's nothing more than a narcissistic player, and you know that. You can't change him. You're never going to change him because he doesn't want to be changed. This is who he is. You are chasing after him. You are still that 14-year-old girl or 16-year-old girl that got dicked over by her high school boyfriend. That had for some reason, you had very low self-esteem about yourself at the time. Okay, he love bombed you like a lot of these jock types will. Used you because he knew you were an easy target, and he moved on. He moved on, and somehow you got caught up in, maybe you liked being with that big man on campus, and your husband, though you know he loves you and he's this provider, he doesn't get your juices flowing. He never did, but you realized that he was a provider and he was good to you and he was never going to hurt you that way. You may love your husband, but you're not in love with your husband. I hate to say it, you kind of used him. You did. You kind of used him. And you played the game for a very long time until that high school temptation came back and got your juices flowing. You never got over that thrill you got from dating that high school jock, that first one that dicked you over. You never got past it. And that's all this is. This is a high school fantasy you're living out in your head. And your mentality is that of such, of a lovesick high school girl. This is how high school girls get treated. You need to move on and realize that this guy's never going to change and he's only going to continue to abuse you. Now, as far as your husband is concerned, I don't know how fair it is that you stay married to a guy who you may not truly love. You have 3 kids with him, you have a life with him, but did you ever really love him, in love with him? Unless you can get past and realize what this high school fascination is and get past it, you're not going to be able to be in a real relationship with anybody, because that event kind of defined who you were, and you're going to keep trying to repeat it. Like, you named all these things. Like, you don't need me to go point by point here. You know everything he's done is screwed up. He's not the big man on campus. He never was. He peaked in high school. You're not in love with him. You're in love with the idea of him. Because the real him has done nothing but abuse you and torture you. So what do you want? You want him to fake it and be that fake thing you want? What's the point of that? It isn't real. Move on. It's a high school thing. And he's going to do it as long as you feed into it. It's never going to be different. It's never going to be this time, baby, I learned my lesson. It's not. It's never going to happen. And you know that. You're caught up on a high school roller coaster, and it's time to get over it and grow up. It really is. And I'm sorry if it's a little blunt, but it needs to be. Because what you're doing to yourself is just damaging yourself, damaging your husband, and it's not fair to anybody involved. And fuck this guy. Because this guy is going to continue to use you for as long as you allow him. The grass isn't greener on the other side. It never is. Never is with the narcissist. So, thank you for your story. I hope that helps. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any comments or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you have a story, some audio, a narcissist you want to expose, you just want to help contribute to the channel, you know what to do with the PayPal link in the description box. And again, if you can't contribute, send me your story anyway, and I will get it out there and have the videos right back to you. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. See you all again shortly. Bye.